we start off with the continuing fallout. Obama issued a statement yesterday evening saying, I have no idea what Trump is talking about. Basically, I haven't done anything wrong. And I do think that we talked about this yesterday, and I am open to being told that I am wrong, as I always am. I've been married for 20 years, 800-282-2882. But my question for you guys is this, for people who want to weigh in. I believe that the 2016 Russia collusion lies definitely were intentional. I think they were built as a way to delegitimize Trump on taking office. I think the media took it and ran with it hook, line, and sinker. And in that mind, let me play this flashback just to take you back, for those of you who have forgotten, to what 2017 television news sounded like. This is cut 4.
Russia hacking the election to elect Trump is the end of our democracy. Votes were definitely affected. Russia hacked the election to tilt it to Mr. Trump.
The Russians definitively hacked the election.
Russia did hack the election.
No doubt. The Russians hacked the election.
Yes. Russia hacked the election.
Fact, Russia hacked the election.
President-elect Donald Trump still not sounding convinced that Russia hacked the election.
If we find out that Donald Trump just theoretically was colluding with Russia while they were hacking the election, that is completely impeachable.
This dossier alleged a conspiracy between the Trump campaign and the Russian effort to hack the election.
The director of national intelligence, the head of the National Security Agency, the head of the FBI, all of these intelligence experts saying Russia hacked the election.
The FBI, the CIA, the NSA, the former director of national intelligence, James Clapper, I mean, they've all said this. So to believe that that's wrong, you have to believe they're all involved in an elaborate conspiracy to get Donald Trump, which seems a little far-fetched to me.
Okay, so they said that they hacked the election. They intentionally, as I said, they're so good about language, because they'll say, well, there's a lot of ways that the election could be hacked. They hacked Hillary Clinton's cell phone. That doesn't mean that they hacked into the vote totals and changed them. That doesn't mean that hack doesn't mean necessarily that they changed the outcome of the election. Hacked is a broad verb that they are going to use aggressively here. But I think a lot of people, and Buck, you can sign on or sign off of this opinion. I think a lot of people are getting fired up, believing that there are going to be major consequences now. What is it, 9 years after much of this happened, 8 years after much of this happened? And I'm just here to tell you, I don't think you're going to see charges of anybody in a position of power. Now, would you agree with that in general?
I've already said that from the beginning. I mean, I keep asking friends of mine. I mean, I'll tell you this. I have spoken to MAGA lawyer friends of mine, not who work for the administration, but are as pro-Trump as anybody, as pro-Trump as any of you. Okay. I mean, I have a few friends in particular, lawyers, and they are, wow, they love Trump. And I said, forget about what you should do for a second ethically here, whether you should bring the charge or not. Tell me how you could bring the charge.
I think that's the real question. Yeah.
That's what I keep coming to. And I've said deprivation of rights, but I think the statute on that may be a problem, statute of limitations. I've said there's some others who say maybe seditious conspiracy. I think the statute on that could be a problem. And you have to look at these things. We have all these different tripwires, so to speak, that are in the system already, and you'd have to get around those to try to get any justice at the time. And as we've already discussed, look, I promise you, Barack Obama is not spending a minute in jail, nor is he even going to be prosecuted by any federal authority. That's not going to happen. Okay, so I wish that there had been justice, but there was not. I said this about Benghazi. People remember, oh, Hillary Clinton, she's going to go to prison. No, actually, she ended up being the Democrat nominee after Benghazi. People got very mad at me, but I'm pretty good at seeing where this stuff is going. So yes, Clay, you and I are in agreement that it is very unlikely. If we're wrong, we'll come on and say it. That doesn't mean we shouldn't know it, though. There's the political and that's the other part of this. There's the political calculus, which I think also applies to all the Biden dementia cover-up stuff. The political calculus is, wow, look at how dishonest these Democrats really were on Russia collusion. Part of the problem, Clay, I think, is for people like you and me who followed it for a long time previously, there's nothing that's going to come out that surprises me. If John Brennan, as CIA director, sent an email to the Obama principals, which would be, the top people in the Obama cabinet saying, hey guys, Russia collusion's fake, but man, this is going to really mess up the Trump administration. I would say, yeah, of course. I mean, there's nothing that can come out. I already know that that's what they were doing. So now you get to, will you have any proof of it? Any criminal indictments? I think probably not. But it is good for people to know the extent of the con.
To me, we're basically writing a history book so that people can understand what actually happened. Let me ask you this. You've worked in intelligence a long time. Obama is now not using the word hacked. They're using the word manipulate. How many elections in the lives of everybody out there listening right now do you think Russia or the Soviet Union or the USSR, whatever group you want to call them, has attempted to manipulate that have occurred in the United States? My argument, I want to hear your argument. My argument would be every single one. They have tried to manipulate the outcome in some way of every election that has occurred in the lives of anybody out there listening. So the idea that they tried to turn this into an unprecedented level of Russian success and a Russian attempt, I just don't buy it. You don't think in the Cold War that Russia was trying to manipulate everything they could relating to American politics?
No, the Soviet Union was funding. First of all, the Soviet Union was running communist spies at very high levels of the United States government. That is a fact. Another fact: Nixon was an anti-communist hero. Stop believing the Watergate, deep throat. Oh my gosh, Woodward and Bernstein. Nixon's the worst person ever. Nixon was actually really good on anti-communism because there were absolutely high-level communist penetrations of the United States government. And guess who they always were going to? Democrats. Guess where they were always finding sympathetic ears? Labor unions. Guess where they were always looking to exploit divisions in this country? Race politics. The Soviet Union was doing this for decades. And the thing is, it was always the Democrat Party that was the entry point for those communist manipulations of our system. So we don't get taught this in school, but the record is quite clear. The Venona Project is quite clear. You can go check that one out. Secret for decades, letting us know how high level the secret program, letting us know how high level the communist penetrations of the United States government were. So also go read Witness by Whittaker Chambers, a book that far more people should have read and be familiar with. So I throw all this out there, Clay, because, yeah, of course there's efforts to involve, think of all the NGOs around the world. Think of all the different heads of state who weigh in publicly in the media saying they want this or that candidate in the United States. It happens all the time. So the idea that Russia had figured out some ingenious way to skew a multi-billion-dollar media frenzy in this country in terms of the spending with $100,000 on Facebook is completely insane. But as I've said, it really is it's a lie of degree that they were engaged in, right? So if I tell somebody, Clay, if I tell somebody that I've poured a glass of boiling water in the ocean, I could say that I've attempted to change the temperature of the ocean. That would be an honest statement. It's insane because you would never be able to register it, but you could say that there was an attempt made to change the temperature of the ocean. And that's essentially what they did with these Facebook ads and with the intelligence community review. They took something so insignificant that no person could think that it matters. Or it would be like saying, Clay, have you ever jaywalked? Have you ever jaywalked before, Clay?
Yes.
So Clay has just admitted to breaking the law. Should I just refer to Clay Travis as a criminal from now on? I've also jaywalked. Should I refer to myself as a criminal from now on? It's a lie of degree, a lie of severity. And that's what they did with Russia collusion from the start.
Okay, so I think the significance here is you can correct the historic record. You can further delegitimize the legacy media who took this swill and treated it as if it were the honest truth. You could maybe investigate whether there were classified documents that were improperly leaked. We know that that is typically a very hard case to make. I think that ultimately, people out there who are expecting, hey, we're going to get Obama perp walked, we're going to get Hillary Clinton held accountable and arrested for her misdeeds, we're going to get Clapper, Comey, whoever you want to point to in the larger intelligence community, I don't think any of them are going to get charged with crimes. Now, could I be wrong? Yes. You are open to tell me where I am wrong, but I don't want this to turn into a Lucy and Charlie Brown type situation. I don't want this to be the flip side of when every time a news story came out about Trump for the last decade, everybody on the left said, we've got him now. Oh, we finally got him. And he was always they were always Charlie Brown running up, and Lucy pulled away the football at the last possible moment.
And then you can take it even a step further, Clay, with just the process problems. Let's say there's a statute they want to use. And a prosecutor, we all know the old, can indict a ham sandwich. Maybe a prosecutor will find some way to do this. You're going to bring the case. You have to bring the case in D.C. or else the whole thing will look incredibly rigged. You're going to get a D.C. jury to
That's my question.
Indict. First of all, Obama, totally off limits, was the president. That's not happening. Anyone who tells you otherwise is just lying to you. Okay, that's not happening. But even someone like John Brennan, you think a D.C. jury is going to say, yeah, let's throw this old guy in prison because he thought he was, I'm thinking from their perspective, he thought he was defending the republic by standing up to Donald Trump. You think any D.C. jury is going to, it's just not going to happen. So it's important to set the record straight. It's important the American people know because of the political questions at issue here. But legally speaking, I think there's a high hurdle. And if I'm wrong on this, you can blame my non-existent law degree.
Well, if I'm wrong on it, you can definitely blame my law degree in person. But I think you're 100% right. There's no way they're going to indict in the district, the District of Columbia in Democrat officials. I mean, it's almost impossible, I think, on behalf of Trump. Could I be wrong? Sure, I've been wrong before. You guys can weigh in and tell us if you think we're missing something. In the meantime, look, if you love baseball, and I love baseball even though my Atlanta Braves are a disaster, at least I get to watch Ronald Acuna, and I can pick more or less when it comes to all of his stats. No matter which team you root for, and basically no matter which state you're in, you can have fun with PrizePicks. Super easy. You just pick more or less on your favorite players. As NFL training camps are now officially underway, it won't be very long until the preseason is here. Then we've got actual games going on in both the NFL and in college football. Get hooked up right now. You play $5. Win or lose, you get $50 in your account. You 10 times your money. You put in $5, you get back $50. You have to get signed up by going to PrizePicks.com. Use code CLAY. That's PrizePicks.com, code CLAY. You can get hooked up. You can play in California. You can play in Texas. You can play in Georgia. You can play in Florida. You can play all over the country. Get hooked up today at PrizePicks.com. My name, Clay. That's PrizePicks.com. My name, Clay.